Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Relive Success Training Saturday morning. It is January 16th, 2021. Had to check out the date there. My name is Pecorelli, and this is Louise Kohl, and we are going to be your hosts today. And so, Louise and myself have been happy to do this training. You know, we always learn the most when we do trainings. We're trying to keep it simple, and we want it to be, we're going to be sharing from the heart, talking about the Clogris Foundation and what do you do when you start your Relive journey. And so to begin with, Louise, what about you? How did you start your Relive journey?
Well, and I always love this, but relive relive came to me at a time when I was trying to figure out how to generate a few $100s to pay for music lessons because I was homeschooling all my children, and I just needed a few $100s added to the budget to take the edge off so that I taught everything else, but I couldn't teach music, and along came Relive. Very, great stories. Heard stories of people getting results from things I'd never heard of. I was really happy for them, but I felt that there was nothing wrong with me. But what really caught my attention was those people who were getting results from things that, oh my goodness, they were really dire situations. Some of them still bedridden but getting better. They were making the few $100s I wanted, and they were doing it from bed, if you will, from in as they were getting results. And I thought, well, there's nothing wrong with me. I could do that. So because I'm a cheapskate, I wanted to get the most amount of product for the least amount of money and make the most amount of money for the least amount of time. And so came in at the top profit level, everybody got started on the product. And in 30 days, everybody in the family had amazing results. Chronic headaches, elbow tendonitis, depressed immune system, attention issues. I mean, just eczema, all of those were addressed. I saw nothing. I saw no difference physically with me. But I did have a check from Relive for a return on my investment, and I profited over $400. And I was like, okay, I'm in. This is more than what I need for music lessons. But what was interesting is taking the product consistently and correctly, and quite frankly, there were lots of people who were getting great results, not because I was getting great results, but because of what they had heard about the success of the product through the stories. I did, in fact, get excuse me, physical results in about 4.5 months, and I got total and complete relief from a very painful leg condition that prevented me from doing anything. But when the doctor 2 years prior had told me that I had Achilles tendonitis and only surgery would help, I refused. But my husband pointed out that after 4.5 months, I wasn't limping anymore. And I just went back to doing all my physical activity that I had dropped over 2 years, little by little, even to the point of not going up and down the stairs of my house. So I was thrilled. But at that point, my income was increasing to the point where it has gone up to $6,000 in a month, and it's been wonderful. It's been absolutely wonderful because all I did was share to help people physically or financially. It's very positive. I love it.
Awesome, Louise. And so, you started looking for income, and I started kind of on the opposite end. I actually, my husband and I owned and operated a business, and I wasn't looking for something else to do, to be very honest about it. And so I looked at it because of the product. I was worn out, burned out, stressed out from that business. And so I started on the product and got amazing health results. My muscle, bone, and joint issues went away. I handled stress better. I actually handled our other business better. And so, shared with a lot of people. My immune system, became stronger. I wasn't tired. I had more energy and just started sharing with people because I loved the products and what they were doing for me. And because the products work, and you heard that with Louise, no matter which side you start on, whether you look at Relive because you're trying to earn extra income, or whether I'm, like me, I was looking for the products. And so both sides work and both deliver results. I avoided surgery with degenerative disc disease. Like I said, my immune system got stronger. I've lost 13 pounds with the Fit3 program. And I love that, it's a lifestyle. And we keep doing it every day and keep taking our products, and the business works. And that's exactly what happened for me. The business worked. And not intentionally, but because the products worked, the business worked. And I started earning $1,000 to $2,000 a month. My highest month's been $7,000. And just helping other people. I've earned several trips, and we're going to talk about one of those trips today, the Kohl Foundation, which is the heart of Relive. And I also have earned many bonuses. And what I'm really grateful for is the products work and the business works, and we have a heart. And when we share with other people, our heart and Relive's heart, it works. And so with that, we're going to get started with training. And I'm going to turn the video off so that we can go on with the slides. So like I mentioned, Louise and I started in different directions, but it works. And so, I'll be 74 this year. I take no medications. And, I tell everyone I can out jump my grandchildren on a pogo stick, which is really true. When in the beginning, I couldn't get off of the floor to even play with them. So how did your Relive journey begin? And what do we do? Just a minute, I got. Okay. So for some reason, my slide is not moving. Okay, there we go. So what do we do when we start a Relive journey, or we want to earn extra income, or we want to share the products or take the products? First of all, we get started. Now, most of the slides most all the slides, except for a few with the Kohl Foundation from my trip, are from the Relive website. And I want to make that really clear. The Relive website has everything that we need. How are we using it? Are we teaching new distributors, new customers, what they have with this Relive website? Because it can address so many questions. So you see, welcome to Relive. Let's get started. This is from the Relive website, and those of you that have been on it, you recognize this. And there's about our company, and there's a drop-down menu with the all the information. When you click on it, there's product information. People go, well, what do the products do? What's in them? It's all there under products. How do I earn money? How do I start earning, when I want to earn money? It's right here from this page. Welcome to Relive. Let's get started. You can shop, quick shop, or you can look at each product on shop, or you can help someone to join Relive, or you have many resources. And it's all when you get started. And it's on the website. So this is an addition to that. Doesn't leave just there that you have to figure out that page yourself. It's welcome to Relive. Let's get you started. What do we do? Step one. It's simple. You get connected. Relive sends out text. It tells you how to get those texts. If you're not getting those texts, then here's how you do it. Add your phone number to the US texting list. Step two, get the mobile app or the web bundle. Mobile app is free when you become a new distributor. 30-day trial for that Relive mobile app. I use this mobile app all the time. There's videos on it. There's everything on the mobile app, and that's on our regular website. So you can work by phone. And so, or the Relive web bundle. I use my dashboard all the time. I check so many things from, having this Relive web bundle. I mean, it was my surprise when I looked on there and my volume was over $8,800 the other day. And it was like, okay, who ordered? A distributor placed a huge order. And so, you can track these things. Step 3, Tom said he wanted to make this easy. Step 1, 2, 3, watch our training videos. Do we need to make our own training videos? I don't think so. It's here. Are we using them? Are we teaching other people to use them? There's so many videos, and especially IXAR, and we're going to talk about that. What great training is there? Step 4, visit the Distributor Resource Center. There's order forms, there's applications, there's stories there to share with your people that you're working with, whether it's a business story, whether it's a product story. There's everything there to grow your business. And remember to work with your sponsor. They can guide you through all this process. And, when you get started, you need a little help. I had help. We did it a little differently. We didn't have this awesome website. We worked from a booklet. And so look where we've come. And step 5, if you want to get that shake party box, parties right now are not quite, the thing to do because of COVID, but we can do, media parties. It's open to creativity, but you'll find everything you need to learn how to get started when you start with Relive. Louise, will you talk about IXAR just a little bit?
Oh, I'd be happy to. I'd be happy to. One of the things for what I wanted to just having to do with the previous slide, that we have all that for ourselves, but in detail, I take the time to go through the website, and it's usually my website because with somebody new. And once they have registered, then we go through the website and I show them what's available, go through some things, watch some things together. It's all part of the hand holding, but it's developing a relationship with them as well, because you've started with something. And that's where with the identify, it's not just identify, there's a way of identifying where, oh, that person looks like they need it, let me go grab them. Or take the time to get to know what they need. And so with the identify, we've got, you're identifying something. Everybody has already a connection in identify. There is a reason you've connected. You've thought of that person for some reason. You've connected in some way with that person to say, hey, that's somebody that I would like to talk to. On the other hand, let's talk about having a new distributor. This is where I think it's vital for that distributor to feel confident and safe to be with them and help them go through things, like just through conversation. Recently, I had a conversation with someone who just signed up, but that in that conversation, they were thinking they were concerned about making a list. But in our conversation, there were so many people I was able to identify that they talked about that they didn't think they were talking about. So it's also having to do with listening, connecting with that person through that authentic relationship. I make lots of connections every day, and most of the time I don't even talk about Relive. It's just touching points, knowing that I care. I'm not reaching out to them because they're going to be a customer or a distributor. I'm reaching out to them because they're a people, and we all like to be connected. Sharing comes through just natural course of telling your story. And your story is your very own story. It's not necessarily your realist story, although your realist story is part of your life. So sharing about it, and the excitement. Oh my goodness. You know, Eileen gets on the, introduces herself today, and I get all excited because she's just got so much excitement in her voice. It's being authentic, asking for a decision that comes naturally. In the last 3 people who have joined me in Relive, I didn't do any asking. They asked me how to get started, which is awesome. But that's because we walked through the website. We walked through some information together, and then register. That's the easiest part. But all of those things have to do with action. It's I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's our job and our responsibility to take action and to act. There's just, I've heard from so many people about, well, I signed up and I was told what to do and I never heard from the person again. That breaks my heart. I'm not saying this was not anybody having to do with Relive, but it breaks my heart because there is that tendency. Hand holding is not showing weakness. Hand holding is showing support. And a new person needs support because they don't know what's going on. I know I didn't. I mean, look at me. I was looking for money, but there's this whole thing about introducing people to nutrition, which I didn't think I needed. But because of the system, which is amazingly simple, and it's amazing, because of the system that Relive has, I was able to walk through with help, but I had to develop a system for myself how I was going to walk through. So, Luann, or is this you or me? I'm sorry.
It's you, but I was just going to make a comment, Louise.
Okay.
I like what you said, because you said you take it to your website. And yes, that's part of that bundle, that we can have our own website. And that encourages other people to do the same. Duplication, right?
Yes. And each step that we help somebody through is a win for us. It's a win for them. It's to be celebrated. And most of you know that I'm all about go for the positive, go for the win. And every time we do a little touch, I use texting a lot. Just, hey, how you doing? And I'm also tracking the last conversation, what we talked about, so I can ask, how's your dog recovering from being spayed? I mean, I don't know, something, but it means something to them. Not being a pet person myself, when I'm thinking of Jim, I'm like, oh, sorry, Jim, but but it's important to them, and touching on things that are important to them connects them with me, so that we have that ongoing communication, and everybody likes a touch. Everybody likes a touch. So and that touching is the follow-up. There's follow-up all the way along the way. Follow-up isn't after you've done the 5 and then there's follow-up. Following up is all the way along the way. Every time you touch with someone, it really is following up. It's just staying connected with them. And like I said, going for the win. It's all about taking action, though. It's all action steps, right from number 1 through number 5 and follow up. It's all action. So, and consistent action. Consistency is a word that is a prime word for me this year. So Luann, anything else you want me to add or you need to add?
I think this is awesome, Louise, because it is all about connecting. We connect in every area of IXAR. You know, in talking to Louise, I was thinking that identify was an area that you didn't really connect with, but then in discussing it, you have had a connection somewhere, even when you are starting to identify, because, or you wouldn't be thinking of that person. So connect is so important in everything we do. And so, as Louise said, we can connect in many ways. And in all 5 of those areas, we are always connecting. So, when we're connecting, I hear this a lot. What do I say? If we're really connecting, is that a question? Because, like Louise said, authentic connections. If we're really speaking from the heart and it's an authentic connection, does the question come up, what do I say? Think about that. I've thought about that because when I have to think about what I'm going to say, I don't have the connection. And so, you know, I was thinking, I made a connection with a new neighbor. And like Louise said, you know, there's connections in every step. And it might not be a connection for the whole thing at one time, it's a process. And so I made this connection with a new neighbor, and she did express some, you know, concerns. And I just listened to her, and I know that Relive really can help with her concerns. But I didn't say anything at that point because I was just getting to know her. We were just connecting. And so then she made a comment that I kept thinking about after we had that first connection. And she came to my house and brought me a little Christmas gift. And I just made a comment to her, hey, been thinking about what you said, and I can help you. And she said, after the holidays, you know, she said, get a hold of me. And so I gave her about a week, and plus in between that, I took her a little Christmas gift. So there was another connection. Didn't really talk to her, just left it on her step. And so she texted me back, thanks for the Christmas gift. I'm very excited to hear what you have to say. So I haven't really told her anything. I've just repeated back to her some of her concerns and that I knew I could help. And so I gave her about a week after the holidays because she has a family and she's very busy. And I texted her and said, you know, thinking about our last conversation, you know, when's a good time? And she wrote back and told me the time. And I called her on the phone. I did have a backup story in case I needed it, but I didn't need it because we had that connection and I could share my mother's story. She was concerned more about some brain issues. And we just had this conversation and we connected so well. So there was never the question, what do I say? Because I knew what she was needing. And I think that's the whole thing because that connection helps you to know that need. And so it makes it simple.
Right
And
on.
yeah. And so it's that authentic connection because you're caring about that person. And so anyway, did similar, you know, so now she's talking to her husband and she said, I'll call you. I said, should I call you? Do you want to call me? She said, I'll call you. She said, I'm not sure just when we catch up because of our busy schedules, but I will call you next week. So it's been one connection after the other, not just one connection. I
Yes.
did the same thing with my cousin, just teasing her. We were laughing. We said, why can't we get motivated before 2 or 3 o'clock every day? And so my comment to her was, well, why don't we motivate each other? I just joined the Fit 3 Challenge program. Do you want to do it with me? Because I know from conversations she's gained weight. She's an athlete. She's been inducted into the Hall of Fame at her college because she was so good and she tried out for the Olympics. But now her life is in a different direction because of a lot of circumstances. And I didn't really think she'd respond, but she did. And she joined the Fit 3 Challenge. So it was just a joke, but it was just because we had that connection. So when you have that connection and you're helping these people. It's like Louise said, you're connecting through every 5 steps on this wheel, not just one. And there's many ways to do customer service, just like I mentioned, Christmas gifts. Technically, connecting with people, it is customer service. It is serving the customer. And so we have 3 ways. Louise mentioned about text, tracking what you're talking about so that you know and you don't forget. We can send videos. Our mobile app has, we can use that with so much information. This year I did an interesting thing. I sent Christmas cards. Now, I'm not a good Christmas card person. I don't usually send Christmas cards, but from those Christmas cards that I sent to every one of my distributors and customers, I got 4 orders that people hadn't ordered for quite a long time. In our automotive business, we always did little customer service things that no one else did. And every holiday, we would put something in a little decorative uh, gift bag from the paper store, 4th of July, fireworks, and we would put a couple pieces of candy, whatever, a tire gauge, whatever applied at the time in our automotive business. Valentine's, we'd go out and buy those little dollar boxes of chocolates and leave it on their seat. The point of this is, you know, customer service. We're serving however we can do it. We might not be able to do it physically, but we can do it mobile or Zoom or all of the ways that we have now online. And what about the flyers that really
Yes.
puts in your box? Is
Yes.
that customer service? I I got an order for Glucofect because one of my distributors happened to see that, and her husband was struggling with diabetes and she didn't like him being on the medicine, and she said, I didn't have an answer. Now I have an answer. Can you do follow up with those flyers? What do you think, Louise?
Absolutely. That just was such a light bulb for me, because those flyers, I mean, we know what we get. We look at them, and I don't know about anybody else, but I look at them and go, oh, okay. And I'll keep one, because they're the same for, several weeks or maybe the whole month. But it never occurred to me that those people who are ordering from my website, those new customers, those new distributors, they're also getting the same thing. And that is a wonderful point. It's a wonderful point. And that brings me to a story, if you would allow me, Luann, about Darren. Darren and I are connected in another group that I'm involved with, and we're sort of facilitators, and so we talk probably, well, we talk every week, sometimes multiple times through an app called Marco Polo, throughout the week, but about this thing that we're involved with, this course that we're involved with. But what was interesting is that he knows that I'm in health and wellness, but that wasn't the topic. And so we've been talking developing a relationship for quite a while, and me not seeking business, but sharing with him some goals and some desire, some things that I want to accomplish, and he sharing with me. So we were masterminding so we could work together to help each other make our goals, if you will. He asked me, Louise, I've been having difficulty, sometimes I have difficulty with my back. And I said, actually, I didn't know that. And he said, well, I do. And I'm just wondering. And I said, you're wondering if I have something that would help you? And he said, yes. And I said, well, that's a medical question. I do have products that are really beneficial to people with your situation. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use our time now to explain all of it to you, but here's my website. The thing was, he's in Australia. And I'm freaking out thinking, okay, I don't know what products they have in Australia. So while we're talking, I said, I'm going to send you a link. I need to make sure that what I'm talking about is available in your area, because I know Relive is in Australia. So all I did was I go to the website, click on Australia, see what there is, and then send him my website, or my number, not my website, but my number with the Relive website for Australia. The next thing I know, I've got business in Australia, because he knows, likes, and trusts me, but he loved what he saw. And he also understands, as an Australian, what a big deal it is for the Australian, whatever, a nutraceutical, blah, 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 giving Relive such high marks. So anyway, the whole point was, I wasn't ever seeking his business. I was seeking a relationship with him. And it came back.
Yeah, and you went to the website and you got the information because it was there, Louise. I think that's really cool.
Well, absolutely, it was there. Of course, sometimes I'm a big yes person. Oh, sure. And then as soon as I said that, I went, ooh, can he get it? But yes. So knowing that Australia opened up with just one product called Ultrim, which was a weight loss product at the time, but they're really strict. Anyway, it's all possible. It's all incredibly possible. And that, knowing he was also I don't know what his flyer looks like, but it's a point of conversation that we will be having. Like, hey, what did you get? What was the flyer that you got in there?
And speaking of flyers, Louise, do you ever see this flyer come in your order?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So how is this helpful?
Well, this is this wonderful thing. I promo 123. You just see, let's just keep talking about Darren in Australia, because I again, this is just for me, but being in the US, but this is a customer right now. He's going to become, he's probably going to get involved more, because he is already talking to other people about his great results. I mean, I got a polo from him and goes, Louise, this is working. This is working. Like, of course it's working. But I was so excited to hear him. And there he is. We can talk about, look, you can get some free product if you do this. Now, what's really important, and I think that it's not, there's an asterisk by the 5 customers, but it's not explained like the other asterisks are in promo 2 and 3, is that those 5 customers need to be ordering $100 per month, not just have 5 customers. And I found that out, maybe I'm just not paying attention, but I have a number of customers who are monthly. Some are not even auto ship. They're just monthly, every month, but they're just under $100. And I thought, well, how come I'm not getting promo 1? But that's why. So be sure that you know the details, so that you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I got skipped or something. That's really important. But the thing is, when people start as customers, like Luann did, they can't keep their mouth shut. They really can't. And we all need customers. This is a retail business. To say, oh, we don't sell anything, we just share. Okay. I feel like that's not being authentic. You got to sell product to have a business. How you sell that product is the question. But the promo, and then promo 2, oh my goodness, set up people as quick starts, get 3 quick starts, $250. That's huge. And to be able to put money in people's pockets, this is what I'm not looking at it for myself. I'm looking at it for them. And right now I've just been working with a lot of people who are doing retail, and they're loving their free product. They're loving the fact that they can do free product. And some of them have gotten involved with Fit 3 so that they can get free product. It's really generous of the company. And it makes it easy, because I think I'm repeating myself, Luann. It's just the simple steps of 1, 2, 3. You do 1, it moves on to 2, and you do 3. It's all about keeping that relationship with the 1. The people in the 1, they will naturally move to 2 and 3. It's not about starting them there. It's about starting them in the simplest way and the safest way and the most comfortable way.
Yeah, and it's that connection again, and it's like, what do I say? Okay, once you've had that connection, promo 1, 2, 3 helps you to know where to move to the next. What do I say? If you're looking for what do I say? The other thing is 10 custom, on this free product, and that auto ship, free shipping over $100, and I thought that was a one-time order, but it's not, and they can do that monthly or quarterly. So, there's a lot of options. And it's making it easy to know what to say and where to connect.
And
So,
Luann, may I add something about the company here?
yes,
Um,
definitely.
and this was really, really helpful to me, was that when I was following up, touching base with a customer, he actually an auto ship customer who was concerned about how his monthly bill had gone up, and he didn't understand why. He was okay with it. I mean, ultimately, he was still ordering product because he loves the product. But I thought, well, I'm going to find, I said, let me look into it for you. Well, what happened was, when he had started as an auto ship customer, there was some, at this point, I've gone blank. There was a promotion going on that yes, it was free shipping. But at that point, it was free shipping for an auto ship customer. And then they changed it to being $100 or $100 or $100 and some dollars to get free shipping. I called the company and talked it over, and they told me why his bill was higher, but made this wonderful suggestion that, if he goes quarterly as an auto ship, he doesn't have to increase the amount of product he's taking. That will definitely meet the criteria, and he'll get free shipping. He'll be back on free shipping. I called him, let him know his options. What do you mean? He thought I was a hero. He can't sing my praises enough, because I took a little bit, it didn't take any time, and I wasn't thinking that way. It was the company, it was actually Elisa. She's my favorite person, but Elisa made this suggestion, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Customer service, and I was getting customer service from corporate, and then I was able to pass it on, and it made me look so good. But do not hesitate to call the company with stupid questions like mine.
Okay, Louise, awesome. And I love this, because I do miss little fine points, just like we're talking about. And so that's why we kind of wanted to go over this. So study it out, know the details of promo 1, 2, 3. Tom said this is the Relive system.
Yep.
Simple. 1, 2, 3. And it's more to connect and more, what do I say? What do I talk about? So, okay. So now we're going to move into another direction. And the heart of relive, we're talking about heart. We're talking about the heart to share relive. Well, this is really the heart of relive. Louise, will you introduce our next
Oh,
viewer?
yes, I would love to.
And
I
okay,
would love to, because first of all, the Relive Calagras Foundation, the impact, our impact, I would like to introduce to you a couple who can tell you firsthand the impact, not only that the Relive Calagras Foundation has on those who receive it, but the impact that the Relive Calagras Foundation has on them. So I would love to introduce Robert and Lauren Laird. If you would come on, Robert and Lauren, and just take it away. Take it away. Tell us everything.
All right. Well, I'll let Lauren go first, but or maybe I'll preface it with our story of how we ended up connected with the Clogers Foundation. And really, it came from a conference probably 8 years ago, and they always did their little presentation at the conference, and they had their booth in the back, and they were taking money at the door. And I will flat out admit I had no clue what was going on with it, and I was like, "Oh, that's nice." But I didn't get it. And so me and my buddy Johnny went to the table afterwards. And I don't remember why Lauren wasn't on that trip, but we went and sat at the table afterwards and talked to the director, and walked away going, wow, that's really an incredible organization. We have to do more for that. And that led down this crazy path of creativity, of writing songs and making music videos and whatever. But it really made us want to start helping more, and we started coming up with ways that we could fundraise. And about 1.5 years, 2 years after that, so maybe this is more than 8 years ago, the Clogers Foundation said, hey, you know what, you're doing great things, but you really need to see with your own eyes what the Clogers Foundation does for you to be more effective. And we're like, okay, I don't know what that means, but we're game for whatever. And so what that ended up meaning was us going on a small turboprop plane from Florida down to Haiti for about a week, I think, and seeing things that we'd never seen before, and in seeing what the Calogros Foundation was doing in really terrible situations. And I'll never forget getting off the plane in Cape Haitian that very first time, and it was this wonderful mix of smoke and garbage and manure. Like, it was a very odd mix of smells that was really terrible. And thinking, we have to do a week in this. I don't know if I could do this. And but what we saw was, in the midst of the really slummy, not good situation, there was a beacon of hope with the Clogers Foundation. And what we discovered also was the Clogers Foundation wasn't just about food. You see us giving food there with kids in different places. But we discovered that when they're getting food, they're also partnering with other organizations that get them education, that get them structure, that get them, maybe it's uniforms quite often, t-shirts, whatever, school supplies, yeah. And what we discovered was, because of what the Clogers Foundation does, they're living healthier lives, but they're also going to have healthier futures, not just in terms of their health, but also in terms of their possibilities for what they want to grow up and be. And I remember meeting one boy that wanted to be a piano player someday, and there was another one that wanted to be a doctor, and you got to see the faces behind the kids that we help with our donations. And the one other thing that really always pops into my head when it comes to the Clogers Foundation comes from that trip also, is I remember we went to a school that was kind of out in the middle of, I guess, the jungle, kind of. It's where we met that little girl. Mm-hmm. But I remember we were surrounded by all these kids in little blue shirts, and I should have sent you this picture. But they're all happy, and they're healthy, and they're having a blast, and they're singing us a song as we come walking in. And then we're taking a picture afterwards out on the steps, and everybody's trying to crowd in and be as close as they can to the guys in hats. And I remember looking up, and they have these fences that are made out of cactus that they just shape the right size to be a fence. And you've got all these happy kids on one side of the fence that are having fun with us. And I remember looking up and out, and there was a kid on the other side of the fence with just a blank stare, just watching what was happening. It wasn't happy, it wasn't sad, it was just nothing. Like it was very heartbreaking. And it was that moment that you realize that kid doesn't have the future, that kid doesn't have the health, that kid doesn't have the support. And that's really why the Kohl's Foundation is so important, because that kid could be the kid next door. You don't have to go all the way to Haiti to find these kids that aren't getting a future. And so we absolutely love the Kohl's Foundation. Lauren will share about a couple kids that she's gotten to connect with as well. But it's life or death down, I mean, many places. But that's really the difference, is we get to help the people who can't help themselves. Where with the business and the products, we're helping people empowered to help themselves, and that's a huge difference.
And he wanted me to go first.
I got going.
He got going, and I absolutely love that. Hearing him share about that just warmed my heart. But I was just going to share a couple of specific stories of kids that just impacted my heart so vividly. One was a little girl. My first trip, Robert went on, it was just him and John, his little collaborative partner for the songs that they were writing. And I was privileged to go because of Kevin Pond, my first trip. What a blessing he is. But there was a little girl that was very new to the orphanage. She had a deformed hand, and so it was assumed that she was teased her whole life. She was very meek, very quiet. And working at Disneyland and with kids pretty much my whole life, I'm pretty good at getting kids to smile, playing with them, tickling them, like somehow getting a smile out of them. And this little girl, no matter what I did, would not smile. Broke my heart. Loved on her as much as I could, but just felt like, oof, And coincidentally, only a couple months later, they were doing, our trip was Be the Change, and some other distributors went on a See the Change trip. Matt and Dana Jennings went down, and they just so happened to post a picture. Dana was holding this little girl in her arms, and you guys, she had the biggest smile on her face. I just freaked out, and I texted Dana immediately, and I sent her the picture and told her the story. And I think somewhere in my Facebook memories, I have a side-by-side of this girl who would not smile. And only a couple months later has this huge, gigantic smile that just, beautiful, beautiful smile. And it just warmed my heart that is the difference that the Kohl's Foundation makes for these kids. It's just so profound. And I know we're running out of time, but I'll share the other story really fast. The other one was Dr. Mono goes and he seeks out these places, schools, churches, that seek him out or that he hears about that could benefit from the Kohl's Foundation. And so he heard about this little girl in this far out region, within Haiti. And went tuberculosis, I want to say she had, very, 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 very sick. Mom had a bunch of kids, and she literally had to choose between feeding the rest of her kids or caring for her one sick child. And unfortunately, she chose, the feeding everybody, putting food in their mouths. So Dr. Mono came, he, put her on Relive, didn't expect much, treated her, gave medication, but she was so close to death. His expectation wasn't very high. And I think it was our second trip, we went out to this region, and this girl was just standing so close to Dr. Mono, and he didn't recognize her because she was so ill, so frail, so skinny before. But sure enough, the Relive, worked its magic. The Kohl's Foundation came through, and she survived. She survived because of the Kohl's Foundation. And it just cracks me up that he didn't even recognize her because she was so ill. And it was the pastor of the church that finally at one point said, oh, you might not recognize this girl, but this was the girl that the Clovis Foundation saved her life with, I think, like I said, tuberculosis. So actually her picture's on our refrigerator right now. We got the Clovis Foundation sent out a flyer, and it just, her story warms my heart, and I just want to see it every day. So that is our story, and the story of these kids, and why we are so passionate about the Clovis Foundation.
Thank you so much, Robert and Lauren. That is awesome. That's awesome. And there's another individual on the line who was a very special character for those children. Kevin Pond, could you come on and tell us your experience?
I would love to. It was such a special experience to earn enough money to be able to bring my team leaders with me and everything to Haiti, where I got the honor to play Papa Noel, bring Santa Claus to these beautiful children down there, give them some hope, and raising a lot of money from them. I was able to be there and see firsthand what the Clovis Foundation does for these children, and seeing, them light up and smile, and just seeing those happy faces, that you never see them smile, that they see there, and they see Santa Claus there, they see, all the giving that we're doing. And you get to also see the gifts, that they get, and just how they light up from like the littlest things, just bring so much joy to them. And it was just such a great blessing to be able to earn a trip to go there and just see the difference that the foundation makes. And, it takes, $5 to feed a kid for a month, and you see the difference that it makes. And it just warms your heart and completely changes your life. Just seeing how the other half lives, we got to walk through there and get to see how people that the Clovis Foundation can't reach yet, see how they live, versus how the kids in the foundation live. And it just warms my heart that we have such a great foundation out there, and the RKF is just such a blessing.
Wow, thank you so much, Kevin. And Luann, you've got some special things to share. And we're looking at the time, but you do. So go ahead and tell us about it.
Yes, and this is very important. So, this Clovis Foundation, you saw how many shakes are being served, but if you divide that up,
I'll do those numbers in a bit.
Okay, we have lost a lot. We need to promote the Relive Clovis Foundation so that we really can help other people. But this is a picture of when we first arrived in Malaysia, and we went into the schools at first with refugees, just one or two at a time, so we didn't draw attention. We played I'm a Little Teapot with these children. I mean, there was a little girl in there that caught my heart. She was probably 7 years old, but she looked like she was 4. She was so small, she couldn't even see over the kids. And so she was standing on the benches trying to see over, for what we were doing and playing with the kids. And, in Malaysia, we found so many Mother Teresas on our trip. And the next room, was older children, and they were reading from a book. And I asked the student her name, but to be honest, I can't tell you what it was because I didn't understand. But she was reading from a book, and she had written a lot of names on a piece of paper. And as I looked in the book, the words were highlighted, and it said, "Believe in Jesus Christ and your name will be there too." And my heart was so touched at that school, looking at that piece of paper, because the next school that we went to, there were pictures of a man that started that school because he wouldn't deny his belief in Jesus Christ. They actually cut crosses in his back. And he started that school for protection for these kids and for others that wouldn't deny their belief in Jesus Christ in Malaysia. And if they did believe, deny that belief, they're given everything by the government. They're given homes, food, education. But those that do not, they don't get the same treatment. But in this picture, we were in a school, and these children, we were celebrities. They love Scott Montgomery because of Relive. It's changing their lives. Some get it for breakfast, some get it for lunch. But Dr. Clovis taught, be ashamed to die before you score a victory for mankind. And so in just a couple of minutes, I hope you see the hope, and you've heard from Robert and Lauren and Kevin, the hope that Relive gives. Are we teaching this? Are we promoting the foundation. How did it start in Malaysia? This is Lydia Paul. She found 10,000 children to help. What if we found 10,000 distributors or customers to help with Relive and taught each of them to give to the Clovis Foundation? How did Lydia begin? Just like a distributor, she identified these poor children. And she said she didn't know where the poor were, but God showed her where they were. He led her. She had dreams. She worked in an office during the day, and in the evening, she visited the outreach squatter areas. And one day, praying, she said she saw herself reaching out to 1,000 Indian children. And she knew she couldn't do it on her own. So she reached out to others that she knew had good hearts to help children. And she helped them with medical needs through volunteers from her church. And she got a lot of people from her church to help. She organized football matches for the boys, so she said the girls could be left alone and do their homework. She created events. She was very creative in helping these children. So as Lydia is very prayerful, one day she was reading a scripture and she said it spoke to her heart. And she said, I knew the Lord was doing something. I didn't know what. But then I got a call from a man in Australia, an Australian man, requesting to meet with her. And he said, I understand you're working among the poor. I've got a product that you could give to the poor. Would you take it and give it to the church? And her thoughts were, no, the poor children in the squatter areas and the plantations. And so she told Ian Richards that if she could take it to all of them, not just the kids in her church, then she would do it. And this is how the Clovis Foundation started in Malaysia. Later, she took the product into Cambodia, Sri Lanka, and other areas. So where are we taking the product? Are we paying it forward? You know, she asked a lot of the people in her church to help. Letty was one of those people. And Letty was a 64-year-old woman, and she's the person behind these children. She adopted 9 Malaysian children from the village that she grew up in. She teaches them English, actually through David Archuleta's CDs. They learn to harmonize. And then they return to the villages as celebrities, and because they can sing and they're educated, they're happy. And they're happy everywhere, even though they don't have anything. So what does this do? It inspires other children that they can have a better life. And what did they sing? They were singing, God deserves the praise. To praise God. Now, Lydia was going up into this village before she got the Relive product. And she was helping Letty. They were working together. But does this sound like a Relive distributor? Letty does Lydia's follow-up. They deliver clothes and food. And they have programs for the children. They organize tours, settings. I received a painting, beautiful pencil art from one of the girls in this village. And most of them have never been to a city. So the vision is changing their lives. And Letty was one of these village children. And so what goes on in this village? Jaya was going up to this village before the product. So Lydia reached out to Jaya and said, take this product up to the village. And he did. And so Jaya helped. Jaya's the man with the ginger and the berries on the left of the picture. He helped the man in the middle because not only was he taking the shakes, he was changing his life. He became financially responsible for this man. He had some problems, and Jaya changed his life. Can we become financially helpful for people in Relive? And then there was the shelter with the women with AIDS. Not only did this woman improve, but others in a wheelchair. And they had serious skin issues. And the lady in the wheelchair, her skin became clear. She started using crutches, and she was able to live independently. And this lady, you can see the difference in her muscle definition. They put Relive in the feeding tube. You know, are these victories for mankind? when the couple returned to the US that was over this women's shelter, they needed someone else to go in there. And so Lydia's brother, Pastor Gabriel, went in and continued the work with the women with AIDS. And they were praying at that time for more volunteers to help change people's lives. So when we nourish our world, who are we becoming? I wonder what would have happened to the 7-year-old boy in Sri Lanka that was born mute and because of Relive, he began talking. What would his life be like today without the Kloger's Foundation? Or what about the 20-year-old stroke victim that was able to return to work? Or the 6-year-old boy unable to walk that began walking? Or those in Cambodia that 55% of the children are malnourished, thousands of them HIV infected, that can cause them to go blind or deaf? Or what about the young boy that I saw with a skin disease similar to leprosy, skin falling off of his feet and his legs, and in 4 months on the product, it was clear? Can we give? This was my question to my husband. These are pictures we taught at a mat school. We used to be a mat school. It didn't matter. We taught ambassadors. We were all alike. And, you know, my question to my husband was at the Malaysian airport, he wanted to give a tip to the person helping us. And I said, can you do that? We were out of the country. I didn't know if he really should do that. He said, of course I can. We didn't really figure out the Malaysian money. He gave, you know, we could cash it in or we could give it as a tip. And he chose to give it as a tip. And that tip upgraded us to a business class with 5-course meal, jewelry, makeup, many items being wheeled into service on our flight into Tokyo, going to Hawaii. This wasn't the tip's intention, but we benefited. And it's a memory I will forever cherish, not only for the pleasure of the experience, but because of the goodness of my husband's heart.
Awesome.
Our hearts were changed on this trip. We saw a bigger picture of what the Kloger's Foundation does, and it's not just feeding shakes, although that's where it starts. It's the miracles that God brings through the products to improve lives, sometimes save lives, like you heard from Robert and Lauren. It gives them a life back. It gives hope. It gives a better life. It educates. They're able to run or even walk. Lydia said, what have I learned on my journey? We need to have compassion to reach out to everyone. There are no differences. We are all God's children. My life was changed as I picture the young boys and girls singing with their guitars, their beautifully blended voices that filled the empty room, the humble room, windows without pane, no furniture, children gathering in, wanting to be a part, but almost afraid. Tears were running down my cheeks as I looked at a baby's eyes, and my emotions were unexplainable. And in the most humblest circumstances, standing on a barefoot concrete floor, out of respect for a family in this unfurnished home, there was a spirit that filled that room. My heart felt so much love for these children, and that baby's eyes pierced my soul. And I knew that these were God's children, as we all are. And I had the opportunity to connect spiritually. I'll forever be grateful that I shared Relive to earn a trip that taught me to look on the heart of another person. We can become more aware. We can become more observant as we seek, find, and gather, as Lydia has done. And this has come to all of us as we truly have this gift. Relive is a gift, but a gift is not a gift until you embrace it and then you share the gift with others. Let's share and embrace this gift.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh my gosh, you got me in tears. Luann, could you put it back on the slide of the Relive Collagus slide with impact? There, thank you. Thank you. So as we close, I mean, this is Relive Collagus Foundation is the heart of Relive. It's absolutely the heart. When you give, you get. How are we giving? Now down here, I just want to make sure that everybody understands the actual facts. 267,000 shakes every month means, well, let me come at you a different way. When I joined Relive, the Relive Calagras Foundation was a pretty impacting thing. I thought, wow, this is amazing. And that Calagras Foundation grew to be feeding 43,000 individuals worldwide every day, which equates, if we're going to talk about shakes per month, it equated to 1,290,000 shakes per month. 267,000 shakes every month means that 43,000 number of individuals throughout the world being fed has dropped to 8,900 individuals per day. Being the heart of Relive, that's only 20%. That's 20% of where we have been. And if you take a heart is not functional at 20%. A heart that is extreme heart failure, it does well at 55% or more. I know this is kind of a negative thing, but look honestly at yourselves and what you've been teaching. When you give more, you get more. Do we want complete heart failure? I don't think so. And Lydia, the wonderful person, the volunteer in Malaysia, in 2010, 10 years ago, was responsible for 10,000 children in her area, Malaysia and Cambodia. Those 10,000 that take 20%, and it's dropped to maybe 20% of that across the board. It's alarming, and I want to alarm you. Not to stop you, but to motivate you to look at the facts. Don't ride a wave from years ago, but look at the facts now and give. Give by upping your order, just rounding out your order. Give by making sure that if you're a master affiliate, that you are doing your PVQ to the Calagras Foundation. Give in addition to that. There are I have been moved from a long time ago to give an extra donation every month. I do a monthly donation over and above the Calagras Foundation, and it's my goal to always increase that. And it's really important to remember, I'm sure you all know this analogy of one doesn't sit in front of a wood-burning stove in the winter and say, "Stove, give me heat, and then I will give you wood." You put the wood in the stove to get the heat. You give and you get back. So rather than saying, when my business income gets to such and such a point, I will give to the Calagras Foundation, just do it now. $1, $5. It means so much. It's not about, well, it's not very much, so I won't give anything till I can give much. $1, $5 means everything to these kids. It means more children, less children on the outside looking in and more children in. And it breaks my heart to think that there are more outside than there are inside now. Some who were on the program can't be on the program anymore because Calagos Foundation doesn't have the funds. We can do that. We can build this. So let's do that. Let's give. Well, it's a big win for all of us to give, not to get back, but just to give. So I want to encourage everyone. I hope you got something out of this training. Luann and I are a little bit passionate about Relive Calagos Foundation. And I know we can build it up. It's one thing to say, yes, Roger, thank you for that. There's also, I'm signed, my Amazon account is Smile because you get, it's a percentage. I had a whole bunch of stuff I ordered. I think the Relive Calagos Foundation ended up getting like $1, but it's something. Every little bit counts. So it's not about, like, let's just drop our egos and not worry about, well, I want to give $25, but I cannot, or I want to give 50 or want to give 100, but right now I can't. You can give $1. You can give $5. You can round up your orders and teach and teach our new people and our people to do the same, because giving is the kindest thing you can do, and this world needs kindness. Just spread the love. We love you all. Luann, you want to wrap it up?
Yep. Kindness begins with me. Let's make an impact. Thanks for joining training today.
Remember to do the recording thing.